Hi and welcome to the communication unit. We're still looking at the reading outcome. Last time we focused on purpose and readership, so we're going to move on from that this week and we're going to look at identifying the main points of an article and then we're going to summarise them. So if we think about last week, we were able to identify the purpose. So we were talking about an article's purpose being to inform or to educate. We need to say what it's to inform or educate about. So there are a few clues in most articles or journals or newspapers that we can look for to try and identify the overall purpose of the article. So we can look at the title of the article, and that should really tell us a little bit about what it's about. And underneath that there might be a subheading, and that might give us further information as to what the article is about. We could also look at the introduction. The introduction should summarise what you're about to read in the article. So you might find what it's about there, or you can check at the end and see if there's a conclusion. Not all articles have conclusions, but some of the better ones do, and the conclusion should sum up all the things that you've read about. So by looking at those things, and obviously by reading the article, you should be able to work out what the article is generally about. But when we're doing the assessment, we need to identify not just the overall topic that the article is about, but we need to look at all of the key or main points that the author has put across throughout that article. And there's a number of clues to look for when we're trying to identify those. So we can look again for headings. So you might find that there are subheadings throughout the article, and those will let you know what that section or maybe even paragraph is going to be about. If you think about the reason for having another paragraph, there are a few, but when it's an article, the most common one is because the author wants to change the subject and talk about something else. And that normally indicates that there's maybe a new main point coming up. So when there's a new paragraph, you should be looking out for a new main point. Within that paragraph, there are clues. You could look at the first sentence of the paragraph. A lot of the time, an author will put a topic sentence into the first sentence of the paragraph to tell you what the paragraph's going to be about, and then he'll follow that with some more detail. Sometimes at the end of the paragraph, you'll find that there's a concluding sentence which will summarise what's been in that paragraph. So you could look at each paragraph in turn and use those clues to try and work out what the paragraph's about. Now, as you go through your article, you really should take notes every time you find a new main point, because it's easy to read through the whole article, get a rough idea of what it's about, and then when you get to the end, you've forgotten most of the main points, or certainly I do. So if it's a paper copy you have, you can write in the margin next to each paragraph what it's about, or if it's an electronic copy that you're reading, or a digital copy I should say, you can just take notes on a piece of paper or in Word, and just whatever's easiest for you. So once you've identified all of these main points in an article, then you're going to be asked to try and summarise them. So a summary is a shortened version of the article. It should be brief. It shouldn't include lots of details like dates or statistics or quotes. It should really just get across the main point. And we summarise all the time in our daily lives. We summarise what happened in an episode of a television programme that we've watched, or we summarise what we did at the weekend, or we summarise, about an article that we've read or a news item that we've read to people that we know. So it is something that we do a lot, but some people find it quite difficult to try and focus in and just summarise the main point without going into too much detail. So things to avoid are copying and pasting out of the main article. It should all be in your own words. You should paraphrase, so absolutely no copying and pasting. The other thing is there shouldn't be any direct quotes. Again, this is just a summary of the main point, not too much detail. So you could start off in the way of writing a paragraph, as the author has done, and start with a topic sentence. And in that topic sentence, you should explain that the author states, or the writer starts by telling us, and then you can let us know what that main point is. You could have a concluding sentence, but even if you just have your topic sentence and what the main point is briefly summarised, that should be okay. So to recap, work out what your article is actually about. Obviously read the article, look at some of the clues like the title, the subtitle, your introduction and your conclusion, and then take notes. Once you've done that and you have a note of all of your main points, then you can start to summarise them. Remember, be objective. Don't give your own personal point of view about a subject. Don't use direct quotes. Don't copy and paste. Keep the details to a minimum. Keep it brief. Make sure that the information that the reader needs to understand the main point is there, and do it in as few words as is possible to get that point across, and you should be fine.